Welcome to the ZenRUN Podcast. I am so glad you're here. Each week we dive into the real, raw and often unexpected journeys of everyday runners. Because every runner has a story and every story has the power to inspire. If you've got a running story of your own, whether you're just lacing up for the first time or you're deep into your ultra journey, I'd love to hear it. Sharing your experience might be just the thing that someone else needs to get out the door. And hey, if you're looking for a bit of motivation or just want to keep your running fun and stress-free, check out ZenRUN. It's a relaxed space with guided runs, simple training plans, and monthly challenges to help you stay consistent without the pressure. All right, let's jump into this week's story. It's a good one. Today we're chatting with the wonderful Paul Pratt. Now you may have already heard Paul as part of the Melbourne Frontyard Ultra mini-series, but I really wanted to get him back on for a full episode because I had a feeling there was a lot more to Paul Pratt's story, and I was right. Paul is a runner, a dad, a husband, a business owner, a local councilman, a community builder, a backyard ultra lover, and one of those people who somehow manages to fit about 47 things into a normal week. In this chat, we talk about growing up in Gippsland, country sport, family, work, community, COVID running, ultras, backyard ultras, and why running has become such an important part of who he is. Paul also shares some really practical little tips about getting out of the door, building discipline, fitting running into a busy life, and not overcomplicating things. And this is exciting. This is the first episode where I introduce a new little segment called Pass the Baton, where one guest leaves a question for the next guest. So let's get into it, and here's my chat with Paul Pratt. Today on the ZenRUN Podcast, I'm excited to have another chat with Paul Pratt. I feel like we've been buddies for a long time, Paul, because we've hung out at the Melbourne Frontyard Ultra. We've already had a bit of a chat on Zoom, and now here we are again. So welcome back.
Thanks, Michelle. Happy to be back. And it does feel like that. And I think it feels like that with most people that you meet in the running world, in the ultra running world, that you bounce into them only maybe 2 or 3 times a year at events, and it feels like you just pick up where you're at. Maybe it's because you get to see what they're up to on Strava or maybe you're just chatting to them on socials and that, but it does feel like you connect with people at a different level in the ultra running world.
And maybe we were talking about it yesterday on a podcast. It is because you're out there doing hard things together, like you're having shared experiences. Even though I wasn't doing the running the other day or a few weeks ago, I was actually staying up really late. It was challenging.
Yes.
It may not have been as challenging as what you were doing, but it was still, you're all there in that shared experience, and I think that connects you even more as well.
I reckon RDing's harder than anything else. Maybe crewing, then RDing, then getting a run's probably the easy part.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe for the first day. After that, I think maybe the running's harder. That's probably how I would look at it. Anyway, let's get back and let's get into Paul. So the reason I got you back on is I really wanted to get a bit more of a fuller story of who Paul Pratt is and all of that kind of stuff. So I know we touched into it a tiny bit in your episode, which will be coming out very soon, by the way. But tell me a little bit about Paul's background. Where did you grow up, for example? Where were you as a kid?
Yeah, I'm living where I grew up in Gippsland in Victoria. So born oldest of 2 to mum and dad, Ken and Deb, in the town of Buln Buln in about 10 minutes north of Warragul here. So a small country town. Mum and dad, one of the first residents out there to make home. There's probably a couple of hundred people live out there. It's used to have a general store, doesn't have that anymore, has a footy ground, tennis courts, local primary school where myself and my brother went to school. And so that's where I grew up, just in that town. It's a couple of streets, about 10 minutes from Warragul.
And what did your parents do for a living?
So Dad was a builder by trade when I was growing up, and then he stayed in that industry. And then Mum actually used to clean the school, helped out at the shop, worked at the local sporting club in the kitchen, and then just under 20 years ago, or just over 20 years ago, they bought the local lolly shop in Warragul and sold that a couple of years ago. So they're both now retired.
Wow, a lolly shop. Bet you would have preferred they did that when you were a kid.
Yeah, I think my kids got to get the joy of that. So my mum and dad are known as affectionately as Lolly Nan and Lollipop for that reason. So that's who they're referred to, and they still are post-shop. So I think they'll be called that forever. And I think even my friends and kids' friends associate them as Lolly Nan and Lollipop as well.
That's beautiful. I love that. I think all grandkids would, love their grandparents to have a lolly shop for sure.
Yeah, they're pretty special.
I bet everybody knew everybody in the little town you grew up.
Yes, yeah, they still do. So, yeah, mum and dad and myself are all been involved in the clubs out there. My brother was before he moved away from town as well. So, yes, everyone knows everyone out there. And it's not much different in Warragul when you're a generation, like you've been here for generations, the Pratt family and the Mills family from my mum's side. So you do walk down the street to potentially get lunch, and it might take you half an hour to get back because you'll run into someone even in Warragul, Buln. You pretty much know everyone out there.
I mean, some people think that all of Tasmania is like that, but I grew up on King Island, and it's definitely like that on King Island because, there's only about 1,000 people, give or take. So, going to get some milk can take a long time, depending on who you're running to.
You're spot on.
Tell me what sport was like at school for you, Paul. What was it?
We just played, I suppose, small primary school, about 100, probably wasn't even 100 kids back then. So combined classes. So and we had a local footy oval where we were at school. So, it was footy in winter, cricket or tennis in summer, on the bikes, just out and about. We're a very, very active community, I would say, which is different than you see in some areas these days. But it was just pretty much whatever. I mean, just games, riding bikes around town. There was probably no one locked their doors back then either or anything like that. So it was pretty cool.
Were your parents into any kind of sports themselves?
Yeah, Dad mostly. So Dad, played football. I only remember seeing him play a couple of games. He did his knee in his 20s, so I didn't see much of that. But he was quite a good cricketer in his day. I was told he was quite a good footballer, but I didn't get to experience that. And one of my, I suppose, sporting highlights growing up was I wasn't a great cricketer, but given Dad was, and he was in the twilight of his career, and we played in the local one-day competition, and I got to captain that with Dad played in that, and another couple of mates and their dads and a few friends who actually won the premiership. So I still remember that back maybe 25, 26 years ago.
Oh, that's amazing. What a treat. I love that.
So not many people get to do that with parents. So I still remember that quite fondly back in the day.
I did. I played, I think, maybe 2 seasons with my oldest daughter of basketball. That was really nice. And we won a premiership as well. So that was really, it was so cool. I really appreciated it. It was kind of weird though, being out on the court, having someone yell out mum.
Yeah, that would be indeed.
That was weird. Anyway, can you remember what you thought about running when you were at school? So you know how we used to be made do lots of running. Well, not lots, but you have carnival and stuff like that. So
we had the local, I suppose, sports carnival where you pay the other, run against the other and compete against the other small primary schools in our area, so not against the bigger schools. I seen it just as fun, and not running specifically. Just it was a day where you didn't have to be in the classroom, even though I was clever at school, but I'd much rather be outside than inside. And the only probably memory from running through school, especially primary school, that I have is we used to do a lapathon around that oval at school to raise money, and I can't remember who like what it was for or anything like that, but I do remember we'd get out there and you could see how many laps you could run in a certain amount of time, and I remember doing that with my friends. That's probably the clearest memory I have specifically to running back then. But not specifically like cross country and those sorts of things that kids get opportunities today. I don't recall that being there. So whether it was that I wasn't good enough or didn't give two hoots or whatever, but I don't remember that part of what you get to see your kids do now.
It's funny you say that. There's something in the back of my mind now about a fundraiser that involved us running lots of laps. We must have had something like that at school too. Maybe there was something for a while for a particular charity where that was a thing in schools in Australia. That's interesting. I can't remember doing that myself. I mean, I can remember doing it, but I can't remember much more detail than that.
Yeah.
So that kind of triggers something in my head. All right. So you just mentioned you're pretty clever at school. So you were a little bit academic?
Yes. Yeah. So, I seem to be able to remember things when you get taught it. So especially when it comes to maths and those sorts of things. English not that great. I haven't got the greatest vocabulary, but from a maths perspective, yes, I was quite clever in that space.
Where did you go to school? Like, I assume you only went to primary school in your small town, or did you?
Yes, and then we used to catch the bus into Warragul. So I went to Warragul Secondary College that then merged with the Warragul High School. So it sort of wasn't a boys and girls school, but it was predominantly boys at the secondary college and girls at the high school, and they merged in Year 8, and that's where I went to school.
Okay, and I know that you went on and did more study after school, after high school. Where did you do that? Did you go into Melbourne? Or?
Yeah, I moved to the city, so caught the train for the first week. So I went to RMIT in the city to study accountancy. Yeah, and I thought I'd commute on the V-Line train, but after a week decided that wasn't going to be a great idea, especially given they were about only every hour, and some of my classes were quite late and sporadic. So I moved in with good friends that I knew through the cricket club and school, and I was like, I was like I had a second mum there. So Paula took good care of me, and so I lived with Bowser and Paula for my first year of uni. So that was my first experience out of home.
Oh wow! How long is the train from Warragul?
Between an hour and a half, 2 hours, just depending on. We don't get priority on the train lines. The metro trains get priority, and they still do. Yes.
And not the country trains.
It's an hour drive if you get a good run, but it can also be a 3-hour drive if you get a shit run too.
Yeah. I lived in Warragul for a brief time, so we got a little bit of experience with some of that.
Yeah. And I like catching trains. I like the spot mixing it up. So as late as Tuesday this week, I caught the train from Warragul to Warragul, and then our car was getting serviced at our friends that got a garage down at Maryknoll, which I thought was about 8 Ks, but it was 11 Ks. So then I ran from the train to pick my car up after work.
Of course you did.
Flying away, so save someone dropping me off, and we've done that a bit.
And you had like an adventure, really. Like it feels a bit like, how am I going to do this? And then you work it out, and it's like, this is actually quite fun.
Yes, spot on.
Because you don't normally, it's not a run that you would normally have done, I assume.
I think I've done it a couple of times, but it's not one I do very often, and you do need to be careful because it was on dusk as well, so making sure you get your fluoros on and torch, and traffic quite busy. But my mate goes, "You sure, Pretty? I can pick you up. I'm going to be in Warragul half an hour after the train gets out." I said, "No, I'm going to run." Gives me 50 minutes to myself.
Oh, I love that. I think that's great. And it's a really good example, and we're already getting to the running bit, but that fitting it in.
You find a way if you really want to do it.
And busy people, it is. And it's just that tiny little bit of thinking ahead. You can have some great little runs, I reckon, just fitting it into your daily stuff. Because we do have dead time. We just don't think that it's dead time until we're in the middle of it. But we didn't plan to do anything with it. Sort of.
Spot on.
All right. So you spend some time living a bit closer to the big city while you're at uni.
Yeah, so 2 years. So, 1 year with Bowser and Paula, and then moved in with a good mate, Wiz, the following year. So, very well-kept house first year. Then second year, two bachelors living in town that thought taking care of a two-bedroom apartment was the least of their responsibilities there. So that was in Hawthorn. So a lovely part of Melbourne and good fun, good times. I look back and go, geez, we weren't the most well-behaved boys, and we didn't take care of our home very well that we were renting down there. But I think that's part of your growth and your journey, and still good friends with now. So which is what you remember, and you reminisce.
You know, did you do any kind of sport while you were at uni? Can you remember?
Didn't do any through the university.
Yeah.
I came back and played football still. So I trained down Melbourne a bit at a club called Powerhouse Piranhas, but I was country boy at heart, and so I'd come back and play football for Buln Buln still when I was when I was living down there. So
you would come back on the weekends?
Come back on the weekends, yeah.
So it's a very busy thing, isn't it? Like, you think you're doing school during the week, you're, I don't know, an hour and a half to 3 hours from home, depending on how you're going there. And then you spend the weekends back home doing football, which may not be like right near your town. I assume you could be travelling all over Gippsland to play.
Yeah, it was pretty, I'd come back and stay with mum and dad's, and home games you could just walk down to, and then the away games were probably the most was only about 40 minutes in the league that we're playing in. So it was just I think that was just where I was at in life, but I still was a country boy at heart, and I don't think I was doing too much work at school. We had 12 hours of contact, and if you went to half of those hours, that was probably what you did. So we weren't going to uni much at all. It was more the social side of things being in Melbourne.
But you weren't doing the social thing on the weekends, which I find interesting.
There was footy was fit in amongst social, so I was still find time to catch up and go out on sometimes on a Friday night, much to the disgust of myself now and teammates back then, and then also Saturday night, Sunday. So that was just the footy country footy life that I chose to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, well, a lot of us who grew up in Australian country have experienced that, whether they were a part of it or not, that, that the Aussie football sort of culture, which kind of goes from Friday night right through to Sunday.
Yes, there was a few times I would pretty much play footy party, and then you'd end up back on the train on the Sunday night, heading back to Melbourne to go to home and then get to uni the next day.
What a life. All right, so you finished uni and everything went smoothly, and then you found yourself back in the country, I assume. How did you end up back out there?
Yeah, so I got offered a job 1 day a week. I actually remember that now. So I was doing 1 day a week accounting in my second year of uni at a large firm here in Warragul. So I was travelling. That was one of the reasons I was coming back now in reflection. So I was coming back to do a day's work there. And then as part of my university degree, I had to do either a 6-month or 12-month placement with an employer. A lot of my friends went to the Big Four, like to KPMG and bits and pieces. I just asked where I was working, if I could come do it. So then started working full-time, third year of uni as part of that, and then just stayed working full-time and finished my uni by correspondence after that. So, rolled into full-time work maybe a year or two earlier than most that do uni. But I think in reflection, I learnt bugger all at uni about my role. I learned a lot about life and maybe things you should and shouldn't do, but it's more about my profession and who I've become through work and the people getting to work with some really good people over an extended period of time for an organisation that was great to work to for a point. They put a lot into your growth and professional development, and a place that I have very fond memories of, and it put the foundations in place for what I was able to go do next in life business-wise.
It kind of speaks a bit to what, apprenticeship style work a little bit, doesn't it? Like that actual hands-on doing stuff. You more often seem to learn more. It's what people I've heard on the podcast a few times recently. They tend to learn more in that field. And, whether you're a hairdresser or a tradie or an accountant or a nurse or whatever, that kind of doing, you learn a lot more than sitting doing the books. To give some perspective around time and when I started. So I started in March 2020
March 2000. So just before the GST was introduced. So that was my introduction into the accounting world. Of the GST was just getting rolled out in July of that year, and I reflect now and go, then was the biggest tax change of our era until what they've just handed down last month in the recent federal budget. So it's 26 years between significant tax change. There's been changes along the way, but there's the two things that I can probably pinpoint around the boring tax part of what I did and am still involved in some way.
GST, bane of my life.
Yes.
I hate the GST.
But let's not talk too much tax and politics. That's enough.
My grandfather was an accountant.
Okay.
on King Island. So, and then he was also like the mayor. It was called the warden at one point on the island as well, and owned a shop and stuff. So that kind of small town, and then being an accountant as well, sort of, I don't know, there's something about that in a small community, because you know stuff about people that they don't tell anyone else, and that's fine. But that's just, it's a role. It's a bit like being a doctor or whatever in a small community, I think, which gives you a different sort of perspective on the community, but also respect from the community, which I think
spot on.
So I've seen that. I've never had that from my family, which is kind of funny. They didn't have a lolly shop though. Theirs was just like a rural store, so nowhere near as exciting as your parents. Your grandkids. All right, so you move back to where you were from?
Yes, I moved back to Buln Buln, live with mum and dad, and they're still socialising and bits and pieces. And not long after that, met Cheryl Eve, who's my beautiful wife and mother of our 3 children.
Was she from there? From the area?
Yeah, she was from Longwarry. It's funny, she was school captain when I was in year 10. So I knew who she was. She didn't know who I was.
Oh.
And she'd work at a fair few pubs around town. So she was behind the bar and I was one of the dickheads on the other side. And there was a couple of times where she'd asked me to leave. But over time she must have saw some good qualities in me, and we actually bumped into each other through a mutual friend when I was away on a cricket trip and in the town of Albury. And not long after that, we became a couple, and the rest, I suppose, is history.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm thinking in my head, how did asking Paul to leave the bar and then turn into actually Paul's all right?
I don't know. Actually, she must have just saw something deep down in me, or some of her friends said he's not that bad a bloke. And there's a funny story that, or to us it is. So a couple of years earlier, before we were together, she was good friends with one of my good friends, and Phillip Island's about 90 minutes away from here. And one New Year's Eve, I was having a barbecue with my good friend, and it was his girlfriend at the time that was good friends with Cheryl Lee, my wife, and they said they were going to Cows. So I jumped in the car and went across to Cows with them. So I knew who she was. She didn't really know who I was. And there was a, Paul, you've got to be back at this spot by 12:30, or because I've got to come home for work, is what she said. And I didn't get back to that spot at 12:30. They rightly left. So then I started walking home. So I walked the length of Phillip Island, and Dad picked me up in the morning at San Remo. And so we joke about it now that I got left in Phillip Island by our wife. So that's a small country town. Everyone knows everyone, and there's a connection in many ways.
I love that. Well, obviously it turned out all right, because, a few kids later and, a wonderful life where you are in the country. And
yes, I have a beautiful family, and without, I wouldn't be who I am without them. I don't even know if I'd still be here, to be honest. So I'm very grateful for them.
So on a personal side, you went off and you guys have, how many children do you have?
3. So I got Sapphire, Charlie, and Harlow. So girl, boy, girl, 14, 12, and 10.
Oh, that's so lovely. I love that. And what does your wife do? What's
my wife actually works in ed support at St Paul's at one of our local schools.
Yeah.
Her background before that, though, she was first of all worked in pubs, McDonald's manager, and then became a dental nurse, ran a dental practice, so she was practice manager before kids.
Yeah.
And we made the choice for Shez not to work during the early years of our kids, so she became a fantastic stay-at-home mum and didn't work much in the period of time when we had the kids. And then she's returned to work and done. But she can do anything she puts her hand to, though. She's quite clever, quite personable, and just loves what she does, and then also runs the family better than I do because I'm got a fair bit on.
So, which comes to, before we get into the running part, work career-wise, you went off and started your own accountancy firm at some point, or how did that go?
Yeah, I did. So spent, call it a 10 to 12 years without thinking exact numbers there with a firm now known as Findex, but they changed their name multiple times. As I said earlier, great place to learn your trade, great people to work with, didn't like the corporate structure. They were ASX listed in the end, and it was more about the shareholder and return on shareholder than the client and team experience. So I used to tell the team that if you don't like what you do and it doesn't get you out of bed, you should go do something different. And I got to the point where I was liking what I did from a profession, but not who I did it for. I liked who I did it with, but I made the tough call to hand in the keys about 3 or 4 months after Sapphire was born, so after our first born, and said, I'm out. And to cut a long story short, it was a fairly messy exit. They didn't like people leaving in those days. And I had some restrictions put on me, and then started own accounting firm in early 2012 in the town of Drouin. So just near Warragul there, and that grew into a business, went into business with a good friend of mine, Mark Dunsmuir, and we started what is now known as Blueprint 4. It was Pursuit Advisors, grew a team to about 20, and a couple of years ago I decided that it was time to move on from that business. That was more a personal choice, that I wasn't not enjoying what I was doing, but it wasn't stimulating me enough. And I'm the sort of guy that can't sit still and want to do challenge. So I had the opportunity. They had Steph and Stu, two people, I would say young, but they're in their late 30s now, that were coming through the ranks, that have been there for a long time. And it was time for the old boys to get out of the way. So I stepped aside and let them take over and gave them the opportunity. So that business still exists. It's still one of the prominent accounting firms here in Warragul, and I work closely with some of the clients there, and Steph, Stu, and Mark and the team. But I exited that, over the last couple of years, and then started a education-focused mortgage broking business here in Warragul.
It's a handful to say. I had to do your introduction on the podcast the other day. Trying to say what you did, and I went, there's a lot of words in there, a lot of long words.
There is, and then to make it interesting, we went and travelled around Australia for 3 months, family, a couple of years ago. So that was an awesome experience, and at different stages, each of the trip changed. So Sapphire, our oldest, come home after 2 months because she wanted to get back for netball finals and school and her friends. So she came home and lived with me mum and dad for the best part of a month. And that she says she flew out of Perth, and then not long, a couple of weeks later, Cheryl and Harlow, so our youngest, came home as well. And then Charlie and I spent the last couple of weeks travelling across the Nullarbor together. And during that time, I decided that I'd throw my hat in to run for local council. So I was laughing before when you said, your grandfather was involved in that industry. So I'm now a local councillor as well.
Yes, I think there's a bit of synergy. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the small town. There's only so many people to fill the jobs that need to happen, whether it's at accountant or, the council, like to keep things moving in a town, to make it vibrant and all of that stuff. So I think you wear many hats. when you
I do.
in
Yeah,
those
I do.
positions. And I think that it's really awesome. Like it stops you getting that, you said you moved from the other accountancy firm, the original one, because it was no longer, stimulating you, and you wanted more, to do more.
Yes.
So luckily there's people like you and my grandfather in communities like that.
Thank you.
Go on and do those things. So tell me a little bit more about the mortgage, the education mortgage broker. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I've seen over time, and then seen it firsthand with our kids, and this is nothing against the teachers or anything like that at schools, but our curriculum's not set up to teach kids about everyday money. And so I've seen many people over the years come in, be really good at their trade. They're either good, say, doctor, good builder, good plumber, those sorts of things come through, but they haven't been given the foundation to understand how everyday money works and tax and debt and bits and pieces. And I got to the point going, just wouldn't it be cool if you could create a business that you get to educate everyday Aussies about money and help the next generation in that become more financially literate than what I think we are now? Because I think, well, this is something that, this is just a personal opinion. I think the day cash disappeared, when I say that, cash still exists obviously in the economy, but as soon as you could tap and go to pay things, the financial literacy of people, because they weren't aware to the same extent of grabbing stuff out of the wallet and physically spending it, fell off a cliff. So I feel that through no fault of anyone, this is a system we operate in, that the financial education gap is significant in the next generation of people. So those coming through school and first to work, first in business, so those under 30, I think, have been disadvantaged in what they've been educated or not about money. And it's a evolving world. Like, the access to everything now is, there's no such thing as being able to have delayed gratification if you really want something. If you want something, you can get it now. Whether you can afford it or not, you can get it, because there's that many facilities out there, and it's targeted at the consumer in a unfair way, I feel. And so if I can make a difference in that space, I will. And hence my business partner goes, Paul, that's really passionate and that's great, but how are you going to pay the bills? And then I've gone, well, mortgage brokers deal with debt every day, so then that means I get to deal with everyday people. Yeah. And the way the system's currently structured, the bank pays pays mortgage brokers some money. It's not enough to run the business appropriately, but it allows us to effectively provide subsidised education through the banking system to everyday Aussies. So we're not a traditional broking firm where we just focus on getting someone out of debt. We actually want to help people get out of debt, especially bad debt, and want to teach them along the way. So banks pay us a portion. We charge a client a fee for service in most instances for what we do as well, with the intention of helping them build a strategy to get rid of debt and live a more fulfilling life and not have the stress of money, because we know that money is one of the greatest causes of stress and marriage breakdowns and mental health and those sorts of things in our community, which is just shit.
I love that. That was an amazing and you're so right that money is so disconnected from what we do, but also so easy to get, and especially if you don't necessarily have the means to pay it back very, very well, and you very quickly get yourself into a bit of a hole. Yes, as a result. That's crazy.
Well, kids can gamble on their phone from the comfort of their home, money that they don't even have, and they haven't yet been given the tools and understand the consequences of those things. And then some banks will put people in a bloody car loan that they shouldn't be, and rates are ridiculous. But let's not get me started on that. It's very frustrating. So if I can make a little difference to some people and educate people to then educate others, well, I'll feel like I'm serving a good purpose.
With the education side of it, do you go to schools? Is that something you're thinking about?
I've done a couple of sessions where I have gone to schools, and that's the intention, is to be able to do that, which is my the passion part of our project. So we set up our business structure where it's partly owned by a not-for-profit called the Everyday Money Project, and we want to send a portion of our profits to that business and also attract sponsorship. So then to be honest, I can move out of the mortgage broking industry from a day-to-day perspective and just have a good education-focused business that is significantly funded by the banks effectively, and they go out and teach schools and bits and pieces. And I've discovered there's some good platforms out there doing it already. Yeah. So maybe partnering with one of them out there and being able to, help that next generation.
I know whenever I've got a bee in my bonnet about something that I think is not right with our community or the system that we all live in, one of the first principle I often go back to is how do we get that into schools then? Because it's, that's kind of where it starts.
Yes.
You can educate the parents to educate the kids as well, I guess. But it's that kind of, it just starts with the kids, doesn't it? So it's trying to get that literacy, also going to say that, to be able to educate them with numerical literacy, is that a word? With how to do money.
Yes.
In our world where we don't really use money anymore, like not as we used to, in a way, the cash, as you said before. I think that disconnect is really important, and we could probably have conversations forever about it's not just money, that disconnect that we now have because of our wonderful digital world that we live in. It crosses all of, like, a lot of what it's like to be a human now in a modern world is not anything like it was when we were growing up.
Yes, spot on.
Quite different, and there's ripple effects everywhere, which good and bad. I love digital stuff, but at the same time it has had these other effects that have slowly happened, that wasn't like real quick, and then we have to live with whatever it is that our new world is, or try and make these changes. Try and educate. So I think it's great. That's awesome that you're doing that. Fantastic.
Thank you.
You'll obviously be doing it forever and ever and ever, because it's
I think so, and also want to be able to do it from anywhere. So one of the things when I made the decision to sell the accounting firm is I wanted to create something that I can do from anywhere. Yeah. So that means
the digital world.
Yeah, it does. And there's a lot of good, as you said, that has come from technology and the advancements, and there's only more to come. So if I can be making a difference, be sitting on a beach at Broome and still serving our clients and educating people, but I'm, instead of being, I love Warragul, but maybe not for the full winter every year, so I can escape that and spend some sunshine over the winter months and still do what I want to do and love. That's pretty cool, because I love seeing new places.
That's awesome, and it just then feeds what you're doing as well, because you're happy, because it gives you that kind of a little bit of energy. With your council work, what are you trying to achieve being a councillor in your community?
Look, I'll be very short, and it sounds like a campaign speech, but we're the fastest growing regional area in Australia. So
I thought that was just Lagana here in Tasmania. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so Warragul, Druin and surround. So the Warragul and Druin are classed as the fastest growing regional area in Australia, and the infrastructure hasn't kept up. And there's a significant gap between what the community, I think, deserves versus what they've currently got. We're in a safe Liberal seat. We don't get enough funding. We haven't for years. Our infrastructure behind. There's the same amount of football grounds as there was when I grew up as a kid, but the population's doubled, and it's going to double again over the next 15 years. So I'm all about trying to improve the financial viability of the council, because I think that they don't spend their money as well as they can, so they don't get a return on the rates money that they collect, so I don't spend that effectively, and improve our infrastructure. So sporting facilities, roads, open public space, paths that connect our towns together in bits and pieces. Like you could do so much once you've been in there, but you can't really influence it much. So I'm trying to go deep on a couple of things, so around finance, and then the sports and open space, because I think that's something that I think is good for everyone. If we've got kids being out there being active, and then bigger kids like us being able to active and have facilities to use and connect communities, that creates a better place to live and happier, healthier people.
Yeah. How long have you been a councillor for?
Feels like forever, but only about 18 months.
And what is the term? Is it 4 years?
It's a 4-year term.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to put your hand up again, or is it too early to ask?
If you ask me right now, probably not. Just but you never say never. Right now, if I had to decide right now, I'd say no. Like, our business is going quite well, and I'm getting a lot of momentum, and I'm getting stretched in a couple of directions a bit further than I would want to. So I'm just being very mindful of my time there. So at this point, no, but who knows? Like, if I can get the business to a point where I've still got the ability to give to that and still live the life that I want, maybe I'll do it again. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Watch this space.
Yes.
All right. I want to go backwards. Tell me when running became an important part of Paul Pratt's life. When did it become a sport in its own right rather than supporting your cricket and your footy?
Yeah, I would say when I finished playing football for Buln Buln, and in saying that, I played a couple of games earlier this year, but when I stopped coaching the twos in 2019, so I coached the twos for 3 years, the last year with a good young fella, Jimmy Taylor, and I needed something after that. So during 2019, I decided to start running a bit while I was playing footy. And previous to that, I'd done some runs. So I'd done a couple of marathons because I think it was just something that not everyone wants to do it back then, but some of us wanted to do. So I will reflect a little bit.
Melbourne?
No, first marathon I did was in Canberra in 2011. So I always said I wanted to do a marathon before kids. So I did that one in 2011, and then didn't do another one for 4 years. So then I did Canberra again in 2015. And then my next marathon, official marathon, would have been in 2020.
And have you done the Melbourne Marathon?
I have, yes.
That was Melbourne. Because to me, a footy person,
Melbourne,
it's like the holy grail to finish in the MCG.
So I did the Melbourne half marathon when it used to start down at Frankston for the fall. So I did that in, I'm going to say nearly 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But I wasn't committed enough. I was naturally good at being able to run, but I was never committed enough to stay disciplined. I like the after-hour activities a bit too much. So, that's running. I did bits of it over the last 20 years, but that just it was never really became something that I pursued till COVID. So in 2019, to circle back there, I decided that I wanted to run a marathon in every state of Australia and the North and South Island of New Zealand.
Oh,
so
cool.
So I'd set it up. I called it 10-10. Got shirts. My wife and kids made shirts for it. First one was the Cadbury Marathon in
Hobart.
In Hobart in January in 2020, and so went and did that. That was cool. Next one was in the town of Semaphore in South Australia, so just out of Adelaide, and that was the Labor Day weekend in March.
Oh, man.
And that's when COVID happened. And so we were coming home, and I'd made a prediction on text a couple of months ago that the whole world would shut down, but I was being a bit facetious. And then we were driving home across, and I remember the world just changing, and this is when toilet paper gate was happening in Melbourne, and we went through border town, so we bought a heap of toilet paper because South Australians didn't react like Victorians did. Yep. they didn't think the world was ending, and I remember coming home, and then I remember I had Canberra was the third one that we're going to do, and it was a Friday. I can't remember what time, but it was a week or two before it. They cancelled it, and then as you do back then when you had bad news, I went and got pissed again and thought thought the world was ending. At the same time, work was changing considerably, so we were forced to work from home. I was leader of the team and bits and pieces. So my dream of running 10-10 stopped, but we still found a way. So actually in 2020, we still ran 10 marathons for the year, or at least of that distance. So, but they weren't official marathons. So one of them, a mate and I ran to pick my car up from mechanics there. So that was, we turned that into might have been a 50K run or something like that. And then did a couple others, and then we did a fundraiser. A friend and I did a fundraiser for mental health because we both lost people from suicide earlier in the year in 2020. So we ran around the AS track for just under 12 hours. So we ran 100 Ks, me and young Jack Symes. He'd never ran more than a marathon before that, and then he went and ran 100 Ks. It's still one of the I suppose individual efforts that I shake my head in amazement and what he achieved as a young fellow. And he was done at 8, and he goes, "Pratty, you keep going." I said, no, we started this together, we finished it. And to his credit, he got the 100 Ks done. And that was in December, and I had one left to do. And then so on New Year's Eve, before my mate's 40th, I went and ran my last marathon for the year. So I ran 10 marathons, and I think that's when I realised, one, I was okay at it, but two, it was just good fun. The people you got to spend time with people, because you're not running fast and you just get to chat to people and bits and pieces. And I did Surf Coast, the half century at Surf Coast a few weeks before we did the 100K one as well. And that was my first official ultra. And I just remember just loving the people and the feeling of doing things that you didn't know whether you could do or not. And it just morphed into, I think the ultra running world over the last 5 or 6 years is gone.
It's exploded.
I think it's runflation as such. So back then, running 10 marathons across a year was a big thing. But now if you go do that in 10 days, it's maybe just a tick.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got to be careful though, because it becomes there's always a bit like there is no limit. I truly believe there is no limit. It's only what we put on ourselves. So
spot on.
You believe that? Well, there's no limit, is there? And so you got to compete against yourself, not other people, in many ways. In that, otherwise you just end up there's no limit, and you just exhausted.
Yeah, spot on. So that's I suppose when the running story of Paul Pratt started would have been in the year of COVID.
Wow, you can't believe how many times I've heard that now on the podcast. But this podcast was going during COVID, so I had a few people almost in tears on the podcast because their marathon they'd been training for some time and being cancelled and what they were doing to deal with that. But since then, in the last few years, I've had quite a few people who started their running or their serious running because of COVID. So there's good things come out of shit things.
Yeah. One of the marathons I did, and this is Melbourne got locked down and you could only go out for 2 hours. So we're only allowed to do 2 hours. So, and I think some other people did it in different varieties. So I started one of my runs at 10 o'clock in the evening and then ran to 2 in the morning. So I was out for 2 hours. What's funny though, the police pulled me over about midnight. So I did the first half of my own in the piss and rain, and this cop car had gone past me a couple of times, and I was meeting a mate to do the second half with, and the police, and we stopped to catch up, and the police come and asked what we were doing. We told them, and they just shook their head and said, "Okay, we got more important things to worry about."
That's right. Do not breathe on each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's ridiculous. All right, so where do you go from there? Like you've done this crazy 10 marathons in a year.
Yeah, so when I went
COVID,
the 100 Ks around the Jeff White track that was December 2020. Local Matt Veenstra, well known around here in Warragul, runs numerous running events, and he's got one that's up in the Alpine country that's based in Harrietfield called GSER, and that's a 100-mile event. Yeah. So, and he goes, "Oh, you're a flat track bully," just stirred me up. So he gave me a free entry to that, and so I went and did that in 2021, and the weather was atrocious in the lead up to it. So Matt had to be quite nimble, so he had to change the course, and he turned it into a 6-loop course that he needed to do to actually get it to happen. Yes. And I got through, I think Strava said I did 99K. So I say I almost did 100Ks. So I got through 4 of the loops, I think it was. And that took a bit over a day. That was extreme. And then I just, after that, just gone, well, I went back and did that the following year because I said, well, that's not beat me, so I want to finish that. So the next year went back and finished that with another mate. We ran that together, Corey and I, and that took us 45 hours. Two of my best friends and family come and crewed and supported.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. Maybe not towards the end, but it was just fun. And then we also had a young fella, Jack Martin, come in and do the pacing for the last, it should have been 8 to 10 hours, but it was like 14 hours because I was in no shape to be moving very quickly. This big storm come in, so it took us like 14 hours to do the last 40 odd Ks. And I remember coming down, I think it might be Bonaccord, down into Harriettville. We found Greg Pyler. He was just in front of us, and I'm now chatting him through running, and I've met him. That's when I met him, but I've now met him a few times. Ran into him. He'd fallen over the cliff and was hanging half off the.
Oh.
And my mates fished him out, and he finished it with us as well. Or he would have been stranded out there in the middle of a snowstorm.
Oh wow! It sounds like it's not a great place for weather. Both times.
That's the high country. That's what, and it was near November, and that's just what happens up there. But it's a cracker event, and Matt and Megan put on an awesome event up there. So for those that have been thinking about doing it, I'd go out and do it next time they have it on. It's bloody good fun.
So from there, you moved on to more of the similar type of races.
Yeah. So I think I did that. Then I went and crewed a couple other people, volunteered at a few, and then I always wanted to break 3 hours for a marathon, but never put the time in. So I had another couple of cracks at that and got that at Melbourne. So my first Melbourne marathon, I was able to do that, which was pretty cool. And got to run around the G. So that was fun. And then just was following the backyard ultra scene and thought, this looks like fun.
Uh-huh.
And had planned on doing a few of them in 2023. And I don't like telling this story because it's embarrassing, but I will. I got hit by a discus at Kids Ass, and it was my own fault because I was helping measuring and just dropped it and hit the side of my ankle, and I thought nothing of it. But over time, after a couple of months, I realised that it was no good, and I crushed the tendon on the inside of my foot and ended up in a moon boot for 3 months because of it. So I pretty much missed out on running in 2023 for a fair portion of it. So after 3 years of building up and doing these events and bits and pieces, sort of went sideways for a bit. And then once I got that, it made me realise how much running meant to me just as a human. It made me operate better as a person. So when I got that back, I was a lot more grateful around it. And then, then 24, I started to partake in some backyard ultras. So I did my first one at MVP in February 24. And since then, I think I've done, I don't know how many, maybe 8, 9.
Oh, it's a few. And have you had a part to play in a backyard ultra or two happening?
Yeah. So we set one up in Warragul here at Lardner Park called the Wild Dog Backyard Ultra. So that was a baby of mine that I wanted to bring to our local community, and I partnered with Sean and the team at Ultra Series to bring that to Lardner Park. So we held that for the last 2 years. Next year, unfortunately, we're not holding it, but we are working on in the background on ways we can bring that back in a slightly different format, maybe a slightly different time of year, not the coldest, shortest day of the year, but the community wants it back. I've been asked many times. Just right now, capacity-wise, we've got a little bit on to fit that in and do it properly. It just wouldn't happen. And we've also just got to work through some logistics around medics and bits and pieces. But we do have every intention of bringing it back in the next year.
Excellent. certainly I've heard lots of people talk about it. So
Yeah.
it was obviously very well supported.
Yeah.
And
it's an awesome venue. It's got a great vibe out there. It's a closed venue, so you don't have to worry about anything traffic-wise or anything like that. And it's only an hour from Melbourne.
Yeah.
We just need to market it well and put a good team in place and then bring it back to the people.
Oh, that's exciting. What do you think it is about backyard ultras that you love?
I love the first 24 hours of them. And I think I shared this last time because of the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
And just everyone's equal. You start on every hour you get to start.
Yeah.
So every hour you can hang out with a different person. You can see people from all different walks of life. Yeah, it doesn't judge. I think a lot of running events, unfortunately, just because of how they are, because they're a race, people may feel judged and bits and pieces because you've got a winner. But in the first day of a backyarder, everyone's out there breaking PBs in a very comfortable, fun environment. So, and I like the social aspect of it, and also like to plan things too. Mind you, I haven't executed it as well as I could have because choices I've made. But yeah, I think I just like the aspect that you get to spend plenty of time with numerous different people, and that's why I think you can see people 3 times a year, and you feel like you're good friends, and you are, because you chat to them, you have some really good chats, even though you only bump into them 3 times a year.
It's kind of cool, really, isn't it? That I like. Well, the one time that I've run one, that as you said, starting with everyone, irrelevant of how fast or how qualified they are as a runner or whatever you want to use those terms. You start with them and you're chatting with them, and then everyone goes off and does whatever their plan was for that yard.
Yes.
And we start again.
Yeah,
we do it all again. It feels quite different than when you're in any other kind of race. As a result, like
100%,
quite different. If it wasn't for people telling me to get out of and go again at the top of every hour, I'd probably love that type of event myself to compete in. But I find that it's kind of stressful to get back in that corral and at the top of the and even to stop is also can be a bit stressful if you're feeling pretty good in that first 24 hours.
Spot on.
Stop and start again. It's like, I don't want to do that. Anyway, what's been some of your favourite events that you've done, Paul?
So favourite one would be the first miler that I did. Yeah. Just because of the roller coaster that was. So that GCR in 2022, where Corey Junkyard, Milner and myself did it together, and Jack Barton come along and did that, and had my good mate Hawk and Stump and family, so mum and dad and the kids, and got to see them finish. So that just for what it is, and the places you got to see. So you go to the top of Mount Feathertop, you go across to Hotham, you get to see all 4 seasons in 2 days. So you get to see sun, snow, rain, wind, the whole lot. So that one. Couple of times we went to Uluru. So I've done the Australian Outback Marathon twice.
Oh, very cool.
And first time we were scheduled to do it, COVID come, so it didn't happen. It got cancelled. So that was one of the ones I was doing in 2020. But then in 2021, it happened, but it was under restriction. So Melbourne was still in restriction. So the whole family was meant to go. In the end, it was just Charlie and I that went. So our son, Charlie, and I, went there. And so my auntie and uncle were working in Yulara over there. So he went and spent the morning with them when I went out and did the run. And so that was pretty cool. And he went to bed not knowing he was going. So I booked his tickets that night because we had to change flights and bits and pieces, woke him up and said, we're going. And he still remembers it because at one point we're the only people that you can see in that picture. I got a video at Melbourne Airport because it was pretty much empty, and there were the only people in the whole airport. There was 14 people on our flight, so we flew Melbourne to Adelaide, then Adelaide to Alice, and then hired a car that we had booked. So we got it there, then drove down to Uluru and did that, and then come back a couple of days later. And then, because there was no one flying, Charlie got to fly business class, so he got sat at the very front of the plane, and there was more people working on the plane than travelling. So,
oh my gosh!
So that event, that everything that it was,
yeah. And
then the following year, the whole family went back, and Charlie and Sapphire both won, like the boy and girl in the 6K. So Charlie was already a celebrity because he come with me last year because he was the only kid there, but then they won that. So they both got to do that. So they go do those two things with family. I think it was pretty special. And then I could talk about them all. They all have moments. And they all have moments that you can reflect on. And the most recent one, which we spoke about on podcast earlier, was the Melbourne Frontyard Ultra. But not for me, but to see a couple of friends do PBs and see Charlie set a PB as well, and just the joy that other people get from it, that you can then, even when your event may not go as well, is to be okay with it, acknowledge it, and still be a bit pissed off, but then go, there's a whole bigger wide world out there. So those, and I look back, that's why I look back on every event. They're all special for different reasons.
Oh, absolutely they are. As a parent of some young people, what example do you think you're providing them? Do you reflect on that sometimes?
I got asked that question recently, not in those words, but it ended up landing on that. I got asked why I run. And I think it's evolved over time on why I run. Back in 2020, I went to challenge post-footy in bits and pieces, and then I found that the joy of it, I like the structure of it, and then I like and this is where, to answer your question, I like the example it sets your kids, that if you put some structure around your life, there's no limit to what you can do. And but still, you've got to make sure you get a good balance in that, because the kids they don't have the same filter, so they can come a bit too focused on things. And if they see mum and dad being quite active in bits and pieces, but they're not yet at the age where they should be doing that, you've got to be quite careful. But I think it's just the example you set to them, that you can make a choice if you really want to. It might be a shitty morning, but if you say you're going for a run, you might only get wet for half an hour. That's okay. But then also then the benefit of continually showing up and where you can get to. Yeah. And I remember, so again, this is from a park run. So I did park run a couple of weeks ago, and I did it 3 weeks ago, and my daughter's friends were in it, and I tried to catch one of the year nines, and he was too fast, and so he beat me. And I was okay with that. But then I said, the next week, I'm going back to win parkrun. He wasn't there, so that helped. And a couple of fast guys weren't there. So I went out and ran it. And Sapphire had netball a couple of hours later, and I was out at the footy helping with the footy. And she came up to me and she goes, 18:20. And I go, so did you win or lose? And she goes, no, that was your time, Dad. So she was so excited because it was the quickest I'd run for like 4 years at park run. So it's just those little moments. Yeah. So they see what you put in, and then I think they learn in little snippets, and they're learning habits that I think will hold them in good stead later in life. That if we really want to do something, we can, but it's not easy.
And it's okay to strive, and it does take work.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And it's compound interest. It's delayed gratification. You've got to do the work if you want to get the rewards. There's no quick fix out there.
So what does drive you, Paul Pratt? You're a very driven human, not just in running, but across all areas of your life. We're here for
a good time. If it's a long time, it's a bonus. So we might as well fit what we can in.
Not everybody thinks a good time is packing in as much as you do, though.
You still find time to relax from time to time. I just like how I am. I think I'm a better human. Yeah, just better life choices that I make, and I reflect on the past and maybe didn't make. Well, I know I could have made different choices back then, but that's part of the story. And I just think I'm a better human for myself and those around me when I run. And I enjoy it. Like, some of my best friends now are people that I've only met in the last 3 years through through running, and then I've also had lifelong friends that have also moved into the running world as well, and I can see they're better humans and they're better for it as well. So it's just, I do it because it makes me feel better, and I think also it sets a really good example for those around you, so your family and friends, and you get to do some pretty cool things, and sometimes you succeed, sometimes you learn. Well, always learn, but sometimes you might, and you get to go see some pretty cool places as well.
You do.
It's just, I'm a runner, and I'm okay with that. It's part of who I am. It's part of my life now.
I love that. So what does your running look like during the week? What's your regular sort of routines?
It's funny. I coach a few people, and I hope they listen to this, but they're not listen. Very rarely do I have a structured training week in your traditional block. Yeah. At the minute, though, I'm working with one of the best ultra runners in the world. So I'm working with Tim from Better By Next Week. So because I wanted some structure and bits and pieces around that, so I've started working with him, and which is very exciting. So like, if I think at the start of the year, I just said I'd do the Hardcore Harry's challenge. So I just did that for the first 26 days of the year. That was what it looked like running. I try and get out for a run or walk every day, though, and try and start the day with some sort of activity for at least half an hour. So some sort of structure from being out there, but I'll go out sometimes, not obviously now with Timmy for the next few weeks, but I just go out sometimes and go, what do I feel like doing? And you might say you're going for half an hour, you go for an hour. Sometimes you say you're going for an hour, you go for half an hour. You might mix it up. Yeah. I think it's just the hardest thing. If anyone can take anything out, the people that listen to this, the hardest thing is starting. Yeah. Once you start, you've then got the opportunity to do something, and it doesn't take that long, and you can get a fair bit out of half an hour. I went for a half an hour walk this morning. That was enough to fill my morning, to know that I'm going to win the day. Yeah. It's all yours. Did you do you do any of your exercise during the week with other people? Do you have like regular meetups? Not regular. So I do a fair bit of the walking with the kids that I do. So Sapphire in the morning, she's an early bird like me. So we'll try and walk 2 or 3 times a week together. Maybe not for all of it. So we'll spend even a bit part of it. She'll go that way, then I'll go that way. So and to be able to spend this one-on-one time with a near 15-year-old daughter the conversations are awesome. Some days they're not, but it's that time and bits and pieces. So you're being present with your kids. Giving it, there's a space for those conversations to happen. That's an important element. Yeah. And then just from time to time, I hook up with some other mates locally here. So good mate Chris Dunn, Timmy Rowe and Jamie Purcell, we get out for a run, but not consistently. I do a fair few of my runs on my own, and but then every now and then we throw one in. Jace Rantel, also catch up with him, but no formal structure around running with people. I think if I like being able to go run people, but if you're reliant on having to get out of bed to run with someone, you're potentially, I don't think, setting yourself up for success. You've got to be able to get out and run for yourself first and foremost. Yeah. But I do love it when I catch up with the guys. It's good fun. And a good friend, Tommy Wyatt's back running too, so I reckon I'll catch up with him soon too and get out for a run with him as well. So what about strength work? Do you do any of that? Is that part of your... I've got a sort of I've got a sort of 10, 15-minute core routine that I do most mornings. Okay. And then Timmy's given me some other strength activities to do, and it was I did a little bit of it a couple of nights ago, and it was a rude awakening that I don't do enough of it. So I am looking forward to do it, because it was bloody hard. I only did it for 20 odd minutes, and I was sorer than the hour run I went for beforehand. Yeah. I think it's a runner thing. Like they just strength seems to be at the bottom of our list of priorities, but even though we know it should be much closer to the top. If you've got to disconnect the dots that you do that, it means you can do more of what you love, because it doesn't give you the same feeling. Like half an hour run gives you such a greater feeling than a half an hour strength. But if you want to keep doing your half an hour running, you've got to do your half an hour strength.
It's like, it's not fair.
Yeah.
What runs do you have coming up that you're really excited about?
When I spoke to you last, I was hating running but then I was loving it again. I'm fully committed to Red's Backyard Ultra, 1st of August, silver ticket event, and excited for it.
Do you have any point-to-points that you want to do?
I'd love to go back and do Surf Coast Century. I did that a couple of years ago. That's my favourite 100K event that I've done. But no, none locked in. Yeah. Might make up a couple just to do ourselves. Like me and Danny or Jace, we like to just set up and go, let's run from here to here and do those things. So we might do our own. But event-wise, I reckon, depending on what transpires over the next couple of months, Surf Coast or something in the new year. Yeah.
When do you think, Paul, that you would have thought of yourself as a runner in your life?
I reckon maybe for a while. I couldn't pinpoint when, Michelle, but for a while.
Yeah.
It's who I am, and it's now who people identify me as well. So there's a picture in the paper the other day when I was doing the running for the kids, and it says, I think the words were local runner Paul Pratt doing the running for the Warragul under 14s, and I've gone, okay, the paper identifies me as a runner. My friends and that do now. Even when I went to a meeting, people joke sometimes, "Did you run here?" Those sorts of things. But I'd say a couple of years ago, and others probably identified beforehand because you don't realise, I don't think, until you look back and go, I'm running for the right reasons. I'm happy now. I'm happy to own that. And I say I ran before running was cool. That's what I tell my mates that now run that have joined me. And I said, you all want to do it now.
That's right. You made it cool.
Yeah.
So you've had a period where you couldn't run. How was that? Now that, we've identified that you think of yourself as a runner, which is awesome. That's part of your identity. When you can't do it, how do you deal with that? For you, it kind of solidified, yes, you are a runner and it's what you want to do. But what happens if you can't do it for a period?
It was important to happen and not take things for granted and just do what you can to get back, but find other things. So I found other things because I like the feeling of feeling like I've done something. So I got the boxing bag out. The arms wouldn't show it, but I was doing things like that. So I'd go to a boxing session or something like that. So I filled it with something else. Got a rower, exercise bike, rode the bike because I still like the feeling of physical exertion and moving in bits and pieces. So I found something else, which was really good to do because it made me realise that, one, I love the feeling of running and I missed it, but there is things you can substitute in if you really want to find a way. And I like people to encourage people when the doctor or physio says you can't do something, don't just go, okay, go, what can I do? So you're saying I can't do that, so tell me what I can. Because that's what I need to do, because a lot of people, I think, when they get told they can't do something, they don't do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
There's always something you can do and you'll be better for it. And you'll learn new things.
Oh, yeah. And you might even find something else you love to do as well.
Yes.
That's right. How long do you think you'll run for, Paul? Seems like a really silly question.
Forever?
Forever. That's the right answer. No, there's no right answer.
Yeah. I think I'll keep doing it till it doesn't fulfill me. And at the minute I don't see a point where that will come. But there's chapters in life, and that's this chapter that I'm living right now.
Which is a pretty good one.
Indeed.
A question that I ask most people is, how do you think your life would be like if you hadn't picked up running as you have? Like, what is it giving your life that you'd be missing out on?
Being the best parent I could can. I think out of everything is that I look like back on what parenting was for the first, call it 8 to 9 years before I was running to what I am now. And it could be because the kids are older and bits and pieces now, but I feel that I am a really good parent and role model. And on top of that, you get to spend time with them. And I sit there and go, I get to go for a run or ride or with the kids. I get to I'm the team's runner, and I look at the other parents and I'm just grateful that I can go out and do that, because there's some other parents that may not have the physical capabilities or fitness to do those things. So I get to be present and experience those things with your kids, why they're kids before they become adults. And mum and dad are still there, we're still important, but they're not spending as much time as you now. So I think I get, even just like being able to go on hikes and that with the kids, like you feel better, you're active, you're doing things. I'm not bloody hungover all the time or tired and can't be bothered doing shit and stuff. Like, I'm just more present. I'm just happier.
I know I've had 5 children, and whenever anybody asked me why I ran, and in part it was so I could keep up with the kids, and as a result, I've got, been able to do that and great relationships with all my kids, because I've been, able and fit enough to take them out hiking and multi-day hikes and go and do like cool things like that, just like you said. It opens all those doors, which I think is really, anyway, it's been really good in our lives.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When you're running, do you ever listen to stuff? I meant to ask you that before.
Rarely. There was a period where I was listening to some podcasts back a few years ago, but no, rarely. I don't like to take my phone with me if I can avoid it. Yeah. Just because I like the freedom.
Yeah.
So I'll take my phone if I know that there's a chance I'll need to use it to buy something.
Yeah.
Or
buy something, sorry.
So you go to I'll run sometimes from Warragul to Drill into the supermarket to get something to eat and then run back. And or if I need to call shares or bits and pieces and just to work out logistics. So very rarely will I take my phone, so therefore I don't take music. And I've got headphones on. These are on most of the time at work. Yeah. I like the freedom of not having tech with me when I'm out there.
Yeah.
I'm been listening though when I've been walking a bit more to some podcasts and some music.
Okay.
Just because I feel that that's something that I need to introduce into my backyard ultra game to be able to go further, go further than what I have been. So I'm trialling that.
Yeah, because that would be like it is actually one of the things when I'm having a low motivation day. We can probably talk about motivation a bit. Is that there's something I wanted to listen to or something, and that will sometimes be the trigger that gets me out the door. And like you said, it can be another strategy that you'd be able to use in the backyard ultra, like just something else that to pull you around to the next yard or get you started again or whatever it is.
So yes, spot on.
That's a good idea. Like bring them all the options you need to try.
Spot
on. What are you thinking about? So you've got, if you're not plugged into anything, you've even got more opportunity for your brain to be twirling around all these different ideas. What kind of stuff do you think about when you're out there? Or nothing?
All different things. Ideas. So ideas business-wise that you're coming up with, or things you can improve in your business. What are you doing on the weekend? Yeah. Sometimes because when you can do maths in your head, you're working out where you'll be. Sometimes I'm just going, okay, do you reckon if I could go this way? So I'm trying to map out a course, and what if I went down this road?
You're good at maths. Are you good at that when you're running? Like notoriously, runners are shit at maths once they get running while they're running.
No, I know where I'm going to be, and I like trying to guess where I'll be, and because you don't remember the exact distance from a spot, especially when you go to a place. I'm going, if I run from here to here, do you reckon that'll get me 6K before I turn around? And so sometimes you're just talking to yourself. Sometimes you just think about nothing, just seeing what you can see. There's certain spots where I know where I go in the morning, I'm trying to spot a fox. I've seen a fox recently in our local park. it is. Sometimes you run around just to check on things. Like I'm not joking about in council. I try and spot where there's potholes. So I'm going to do a run. I think once a fortnight where I will take my phone and use the SnapSend Solve. And
I was just going to say that you're going to need to use SnapSend Solve because.
So sometimes a lot, sometimes nothing.
Which is fine. It's good. It's all good. Yeah. Sometimes people go out there and running can become. It's a bit of it can be a negative because our thoughts continue the things that are going wrong in our lives or whatever, the things we're mulling over, the things that aren't working so well. And instead of it being sorted out when you go out running, it becomes like another place to dig a hole even deeper because our thoughts just get carried away. So,
fortunately, that doesn't happen for me.
Which is excellent.
I can't think of a run where I've finished and feel like I'm worse than when I started from a mental perspective.
Yeah, which is awesome. Motivation, what gets you out the door? And I know motivation it's a word that I don't think motivation alone gets us moving, but what gets you out the door? Do you have any tips and tricks?
So I normally get me gear ready the night before.
Yeah.
Put my phone, if I'm waking up to an alarm, in my gear. So then I have to get up to touch my gear. And I tell some people to put it in their shoe and then put their sock there so they don't have to get there. At the minute, I'm pretty disciplined. So I think the discipline's more important than the motivation side of things.
Yeah.
And I just know that I'm more productive on the days that I've done something in the morning than when I haven't. So I just, if you can picture and going, okay, yeah, shit, my alarm went off at 4:45 this morning, and I knew that we'll catch up at 7. I go, I've got a 40-minute window. I'm going to just do some stretches and get out, or I could have laid in bed for an extra half an hour.
You could have.
What's going to serve me better today?
Yes.
And you know from experience, because I've done it, you lay in bed for the extra half an hour, 45 minutes, doesn't make you feel any more awake or alert. And then you actually sit at work going, how am I going to fit me running now? I've got this on, I've got that on. And
then you feel pressure.
Yeah. So I suppose that's what motivates me is I know that I know from experience that I'll have a better day.
So a tiny incremental thing, when you were saying that, the day before when you go to sleep, you thinking what's going to happen the next day?
Yep.
Because if you'd gone to bed at, I don't know, it depends how much sleep you need, but just say you need the 7 to 8 hours that most of us need. You have to make sure that you're in bed in enough time that when your alarm goes off at 4:45, you've had that amount of sleep, because otherwise your decision making is impaired because you haven't had enough sleep.
Yeah.
I think so it's setting yourself up to win the day, I suppose. That's what I'm saying.
In most instances, so I'll journal when I go to bed, normally read 5 or 10 pages of a book, and then note down one at least one priority, maybe 3 that I want to get done the next day. So then it takes it out of your head, puts it on a bit of paper. And even there's time, like I look at, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, we went to the footy down Melbourne. We didn't get home until midnight.
Yeah.
I got up at 5:30, even though I wanted to have me 7 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Because I thought an extra half an hour sleeps between having 5.5 or 6 hours. This may or might not be right or wrong, make any difference. But not doing half an hour will, to me, just how I function for the day.
Yeah.
So that's just, I sit there and go, just be deliberate.
Yeah.
And
sometimes that planning.
You plan. We plan our week out. We've got a busy schedule with the kids, so we plan that out, and so everyone knows where everyone's got to be, and things change. So I normally finish work at 4 today, but I've got a couple of things, so I probably won't be finished until 6.
Yeah.
So, but we had that chat and go, okay, who needs to be here, where, those sorts of things. That's just what you do.
think we've talked about it with a few people on the podcast recently, and that is that planning element. Like if you don't plan the time to go for your run in some way, then the time's not just going to pop up out of your busy day. You actually have to think ahead of it, which I think is kind of what you were talking about there. Because so many people go, I'll just go when I've got time, and well, that time's not going to just arrive, which it isn't.
Spot on. And I learned this from James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this over COVID. I like to self-learn, and I read books and still read books, but also watch YouTube clips. And he said you've got to give a time and place to do things. So if you actually sit down there and go, I'm going for a run, it might happen, but if today I'm going for a run at 4:30 a.m. for half an hour, and
from
then
this
put
place
in place to start, and then you start, you'll get it done 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And then the day that you don't, just don't miss twice. And my kids take that literally now. I'm going, Dad, you can't miss twice.
That's good. I like that saying, don't miss twice. Because you've got to have some flexibility. I think flexibility is important.
Yeah, well. You might have a work business deadline. Someone might be sick. You've got a party to go to. You can miss once. I just don't like missing twice.
Yeah, totally. I love that. That's really good. I'm going to put that. I feel like I should write that on a T-shirt. Don't miss twice.
Yes.
It could be like people could take it all kinds of ways, couldn't they? Anyway.
Yeah, correct.
Paul, it's been an absolute delight to talk to you. We've got a couple more things I want to ask you. But before I ask my last question, one thing I do ask everyone is, we've talked a lot about running. Is there anything about running that we haven't touched on that you want to share?
If you're thinking about running, because you're seeing all these people out there doing it, because the world seems to have more people running. Don't feel you have to be a runner to start, and don't think you need to compare yourself to others out there. And if running's not your thing, just do something to move. I think the benefit of movement every day, as little as half an hour, we've all got the time if we really want to do it. And if that means going for a 2K walk, just do it. I think you'll find the benefits of it, but it might take you a month to realise it. But then after you've found that, you won't change. You'll keep doing it.
I love it. All right, we're going to start a new thing, and I did warn you, so you have a little bit of warning. We're going to do a new thing on the podcast called Pass the Baton, we're calling it. It's kind of a bit of a running analogy there, where I will ask you a question from my previous podcast guest. My previous podcast guest it's a very good question. Who was it? Oh, yeah, Simon Polly in Western Australia. Does a lot of delirious things. He's a RD for Sean sometimes. And
cool. Like I haven't come across Simon.
Certainly in Western Australia you will if you ever go over there and do any of those runs. Anyway, Simon's question to you, Paul, is that if you're in like an ultra race and you come across someone who really needs some help, some food actually, what is one food that you would have in your pack that you would not give them, i.e. you do not want to share that food?
In my pack, and I suppose you could. The wrong answer is to say I would share whatever I got. So
that's not fun.
Correct. If I had it, I'll give you two answers. So if I had it in my pack, I probably wouldn't. But if someone had given me a meat pie to have, that's all mine. I'm not giving that to anyone else. You're not sharing that to anyone? No, that's
very footy.
One.
That's very footy.
So that, but actually my pack, if I'll have dried apricot out of all the things, and that disappears very quickly. So I'd be very reluctant to hand that over.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. This is a great game. I like this. That's really interesting. Now, Paul, thank you for answering that. Now I want from you a question for the next person that I interview. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Yes.
A running related question that you would like me to ask. Just something random that you might.
Okay. I know I've had the best part of an hour and a half to think of this.
I know.
and I'm still not sure what I'm going to throw out here, Michelle. So let's see. So running related. I'm not going to go with one of the traditional side of things. I don't think. If time and money wasn't an issue, what's one event that you haven't been able to do that you would love to go do?
Oh, I like that. That's big sky thinking, and I'm actually not surprised that you asked that. Sounds very you.
Thank you.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I will ask the next person. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
I look forward to hearing the answer.
That's right. Exactly, on one of your walks. All right, Paul, it has been an absolute delight. Thank you for sharing so much wisdom, especially in what is very busy days for you. You've stacked your life full of amazing things, helping the community, helping, the running community as well. And then even in your work, you're doing, trying to help the community at large, not just your local community, but further afield with your finance literacy as well. So thank you for being you, and thank you for taking time and jumping on the podcast. It's been awesome to chat with you.
Thanks, Michelle. That time's passed very quickly, and thank you for what you do and the opportunity to give us everyday people a chance to share why we do what we do, and hopefully that can inspire others that listen to get out and be the best version of themselves as well.
Exactly. That's the plan. All right. Thank you, Paul. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to the ZenRUN Podcast. I hope today's chat left you feeling just a little more inspired to move in your way and on your terms. If you've got a running story you'd love to share, please reach out. I'm always looking for real, relatable stories that help remind us we're not alone, whether it's a big goal, a quiet win, or simply why you keep showing up. I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to share it. Plus, if you're curious about the ZenRUN Club, come take a look. It's a low-key space with guided runs, simple training plans, and monthly challenges to help keep your running fun, motivating, and totally stress-free. Until next time, keep running, keep breathing, and keep showing up for yourself.